Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Alhamdulillah wa salam ala wa rasulullah. We're continuing with the topic of Islamic morality. And when we speak about Islamic morals, what are we speaking about? We're speaking about the standards of behavior and belief defines as being acceptable and unacceptable. Again, what is this topic about? When we speak about Islamic morals, what are we speaking about? We are speaking about the standards of behavior and belief that Islam defines as being acceptable or not. And again, because everyone has their own morals. Okay, the Jews have their own morals, the Christians have their morals, Americans have their morals, Europeans have their morals. You know, I don't care about anybody's morals except the morals that are defined by Allah from the Quran through the example of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of the things that Allah tells us that our morality system should consist of is being tolerant and also being forgiving. And this is what we're going to speak about today. What does it mean to be tolerant? Well, we have to understand, guys, as Muslims, if you become angry with another Muslim, this is a bad thing. It could end up making you and he or you and she hate each other to the point where you break ties with each other and all of that. So the true believer refrains from this. He learns to control his anger and not allow his anger to push him to the point where he becomes angry with his brother or sister in faith. Remember, guys, we talked about how Shaitan became angry when Islam spread through the peninsula of Arabia and everybody converted to that new way of life. Shaitan became so angry that he promised Allah. He said, I will cause them to hate each other. I will cause them to fight with each other, to destroy each other, to break their brotherhood. And that's what he does every day. He does everything in his power to get us. Islam teaches us to be more tolerant. And listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. Those who restrain anger and forgive all men, Allah loves those who do good. So here Allah is telling us he loves the person who's able to control his anger and be forgiving. I'm not going to get mad because you said something I don't like and hold it against you. No, instead, I'm going to control my anger and realize that you have the right to your own opinion. And I'm going to still love you for the sake of Allah. We're going to drop the topic and move on. That's why there are certain topics you shouldn't discuss with other people. Okay, because if you can't restrain your temper, what happens? It's going to fester in your heart and turn into hatred or turn into jealousy or turn into rage. And we don't want that to happen. So again, it's all about being more tolerant of others, being more tolerant of other people's opinions, being more tolerant of other people's ideas, being more tolerant of other people's views, and not allowing it to fester in your heart. And again, this is not an easy thing to do. Remember, we talked about how we are criminal by nature. It's the nature of the human to want to get angry, okay, to want to resent. So this is a difficult emotion for us to overcome, but we're going to have to force ourselves to do so. And the way to do that is by seeking the help of Allah. Seeking the help of Allah. If you have a problem with anger, ask Allah to help you by ridding you of this evil disease of the heart. So thus, guys, the true believing Muslim is forgiving. We talk about being forgiving. That means I'm not going to sit up and say, I forgive you because you raped my daughter. I'm sorry. You rape my daughter, I want qisas. I want your life. Okay? You kill my brother, oh no, I want qisas. But when Allah speaks about being forgiving, he's talking about not holding a grudge because someone disagrees with you, or not holding a grudge because someone shares a different view than you or something. So you forgive the fact that that person doesn't think like you and you move on. For those of us who are able to let go and not hold grudges, these are people which the Prophet refers to when he says, Allah will not increase a person's honor. No one humbles himself for the sake of Allah without Allah raising his status. So the Prophet is speaking about for those of us who can refrain from getting angry and be more forgiving, Allah will only then raise your status. It's a strong person who can control his temper. It's a strong person who could be more tolerant. So again, guys, this is something that we have to work on, as part of our morals. I want to be more tolerant and forgiving. I want to be less angry, and I want to be a person who does not hold a grudge. I never want to hold a grudge against somebody because that person's opinion is different than mine, or that person doesn't believe like me, or whatever. I'm going to learn to let go, because for the believer, there is no place in the heart of a true believer for resentment. In fact, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there are 3 sins. If a person dies free of all 3 of these sins, okay, there are 3 sins. Whoever dies free of these sins will be forgiven for anything else that if Allah wills. And those 3 sins are, of course, to associate partners with Allah. If you associate partners with Allah, Allah is never going to forgive you. And also practicing magic or witchcraft. Allah doesn't forgive that because it makes you an unbeliever. And the 3rd sin that you should die free of is to bear resentment towards your brothers in faith, your sisters in faith. So we're going to have to work on this, guys. We're going to have to work on not holding grudges against other Muslims. Just because we don't agree with them or we don't like their manner. You don't like me because you don't like the fact that I'm so honest. You consider me harsh because you don't like the fact that I'm not going to sugarcoat. So you're going to hold it against me and hate me and tell people to stay away from me. This is evil. This is wrong. This is un-Islamic. That's a form of resentment. So we have to be more tolerant of others. And also, when we talk about being forgiven, being a person that can forgive and let bygones be bygones. In order to do this is a person who is humble. You have to humble yourself. Humbleness. What does it mean to be humble? Well, let me give you the meaning of this. And this is going to be on the quiz, so remember it. Humbleness is to know the value of yourself, to avoid pride or disregarding the truth and underestimating people. So if you are a humble person, first of all, you're a person that has self-confidence. You know your own worth. When we talked about the Islamic personality, the Islamic personality is one in which the person knows his own worth. You know your weaks, you know your strengths. And also to be humble means that you're not arrogant. You could care less about what others think of you, so you don't show off. And also a person who is humble is a person that accepts the criticism when it's given to them. And they don't go around underestimating people. So again, guys, we're going to have to work on being more humble until you can humble yourself before Allah and humble yourself before others. You will never be a person who can be forgiving. Okay? You don't want to be a person who suffers with el-kibr. What is el-kibr in English? This is that arrogance. A person who is arrogant. This is a person that rejects the truth and looks down upon other people. You're too arrogant to accept the fact that you don't know your religion as well as you thought. You're too arrogant to accept the fact that here is a woman who understands the deen better than you do. We need to stop rejecting the truth and stop looking down on other people, thinking that you're better than them. Okay, so, and this is why one of the early scholars said, humble yourself. You will be as a glimmering star to the viewer on the surface of the water, even if the water is lofty. Okay, so know your value. We talked about knowing your own worth, knowing what your strengths, your weaknesses are, and work on them, develop them. Develop your strengths, rid yourself of your weaknesses. And don't go around rejecting the truth. And don't go around underestimating other people. Okay, that's if you can do those things, then you will become a humble person. And also humble people. Remember, we talked about how water seeks its own level. People will seek out associates or companions or friends who are similar to them. If you are a humble person, then the people you associate with will be humble too. You're not going to be hanging out with people who are arrogant. You're not going to be hanging out with people who are vainglorious. You're not going to be hanging out with people who reject the truth. So again, a person who is humble, you can judge him to be humble by looking at his friends, because they are humble people too. They don't go around looking for the faults of others. They don't go around envying and being jealous of others. Instead, they see the good in other people. They know their own worth. They recognize the truth when they hear it. They're good people, in other words. Also, a person who is humble. This is a person that doesn't treat people younger than him worse than him either. There are some cultures out there. I know a lot of different cultures out there. They think that because a person is a child or because someone is younger than you, that you can't benefit from that person. This is not true. You can learn from a kid. You can learn from someone. It doesn't matter what their age is. So a humble person is a person, who is humble even to people who are younger than them. And also a humble person is a person, even if they see a sinful person, they don't go around throwing it in that person's face. They try to call that person back to the truth in a nice, polite way. So again, guys, humbleness is a characteristic or a moral that we all need to work on. We all need to work on developing the morals of humbleness and the morals of being more tolerant of others. Okay? Also, again, a person who is humble. This is a person that does good deeds, but he doesn't think himself better than others because he does them. Remember, Allah tells us in the Quran that he only accepts from those who have taqwa. What does that mean? What does taqwa mean? Allah says he only accepts the good deeds of those of us who are conscious of him and who have fear of his punishment. If you do a good deed and you could care less, you want to do it because, you don't want to get close to Allah, but you want to stand out over the people, then Allah is not going to accept it. So again, a humble person is a person that does good deeds, but he doesn't allow those deeds to make him arrogant. Instead, he does them with fear of Allah, hoping for Allah's acceptance. And also a person who is humble even when they are advised. Because again, how many people you see coming to this website and they'll ask me a question. I give them an answer. They don't like the answer, so they try to reject it and argue about it. This is el-kibr. El-kibr is to reject the truth and despise the believing people because you don't want to accept that you are the loser, that you are the ignorant one. So again, when given advice, if you are humble, you will accept it without argument or any of that. So again, guys, as we work on developing the Islamic personality that is based on Islamic morals, understand that Islamic morals also consist of being tolerant of others and being humble before Allah and humble in your dealings with others. On that note, we'll stop right here for today. I am going to give you a homework assignment. I'm going to give you a homework assignment that will determine if you are a humble person or not. Okay, and we'll discuss it after now. So right now we're going to stop. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers,